If you'll bear with me for 4 minutes, let me tell you what the nullification principle is. This has to do with the 10th Amendment, and the 10th Amendment says the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. We've allowed our federal government to get outside the bounds of the Constitution, and that's the source of almost every problem we have today. The solution is something called nullification. Let me give you a little history quickly. The principles of 98, as they came to be known, are the principles of state interposition and nullification that assert that if the federal government fails to check itself through one of its 3 branches, then it would be up to the states to rein in the federal government. The main basis for the theory is that the states created the national government when they joined the compact and not the other way around. The states therefore retained the power to judge for themselves the constitutionality of the federal laws, and they reserved the right to refuse to enforce them if they went beyond their constitutionally delegated powers. As a matter of fact, nullification was used even before the implementation of the Constitution, when the colonists nullified laws made by the British monarchy. The concept of a state nullifying a federal law simply means that a state refuses to comply with the law or permit its enforcement within their state boundaries. Now, what would this lead to? Some think it would lead to tyranny. Not at all. Because all our states would be doing would be to say, Mr. Federal Government, you've gotten outside the bounds of the Constitution on that issue, and we in our state are not going to enforce your laws where you're outside the bounds of the Constitution. Now, has it ever happened? Well, it's happened many times in American history, but it's happened recently with the Real ID Act. The Real ID was passed by the Republican Congress, signed into law by then-President George W. Bush in 2005. And the resistance to it illustrates a likely scenario of what will happen with state nullification. More than 24 states have passed laws or resolutions denouncing the act or refusing to comply with it. Have the feds responded by sending in federal agents with their guns blazing? Absolutely not. Instead, the feds were all too quick to chicken out and postpone the enactment of the law. When you have 24 states that refuse to enact a federal law because it's unconstitutional, the federal government's hands are tied.